Hi guys, and welcome along to the channel. This is the first in a series of covering the basics of what you need to do when you're learning to drive. So starting right at the very beginning, and we're going to start with the cockpit drill and getting the car set up, ready to drive. So before we start, just a little quick reminder, if you've not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe, hit the button down below. If you're already subscribed, hit the bell button so you get notifications when I'm uploading again. Hopefully we'll be able to get some more content out really soon and get some lesson content out. So today we're going to look at the cockpit drill. It's the very first thing you'll go over with your driving instructor, the very first thing you're going to have to do when you get in the car to make sure you're safely in control of the car that you're going to drive. Once you've got your own car and you've got it set up for how you like it, you generally won't have to do too much other than a couple of little minor checks rather than having to really redo anything. To start with, the cockpit drill, as I've already said, gets you set up and ready to go so that everything's in reach, you know where everything is, and you can maintain control of the car. I use a routine that a lot of people use, and it's called DSSSM, so DSSSM. It stands for doors, seat, steering wheel, seat belt and mirrors. Now, it's important that we do that in that order as close as we can. The really important thing is to make sure you do the M last, your mirrors last. Now you got to think, if you move all your mirrors and get everything set so you can see, and then you move your seat, you're going to have to move it all again because your head's going to go from back here potentially to up here, and now all of a sudden you can't see. So do them last. You can do your seat belt before you move your seat if you really want to. It might strangle you a little bit as you move the seat forward, but it's not the end of the world if you do. And if you do your steering wheel first, again, you're likely to maybe have to move it if you move your seat afterwards. So we'll try and do best to do it in that order, but the S's can be moved around a bit. It's not the end of the world, but better if we do it in the order. It just saves any repetition or getting yourself hurt. First thing we said was D, so doors. So it's pretty obvious you're going to get in and shut the door, but you need to make sure your doors are shut and all the passengers have shut the doors properly. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen where you'll go around a corner and the door's not shut properly and it'll open up. And I've had stories on lessons where people said, oh yeah, my mate, she drove around a roundabout and the door flipped open, it's like flung open, and like lucky everyone was strapped in. I've seen it out on lessons. The back door of a van flew open as they went around the corner because it hadn't latched shut properly. So we just want to avoid that happening. You've got to think that door flies open, it could hit someone else, another car, it could hit a cyclist, a pedestrian, all sorts of things. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to it could cause an accident. And this is something that can happen. It does happen, but it's very, very rare, because even if the door's not shut properly, it's still caught. But you don't want to be driving around with your door open at all, or unsecured. Some ways you can check that your doors are actually shut. The interior light will come on like that when a door is slightly open, and then when the door shuts, the light will fade out. It takes a few seconds, but it will fade out and you'll see that fade. Another thing to do is, once you've got your car all set up and you know you're good to go, just another check down the mirrors and you'll see down the side of the car. So when you see down the side of the car, you should see a nice straight line. You'll notice if a door is open, and you'll see it not look as it should. And very often, a lot of new modern cars they'll have something on the dashboard or on the sat nav display that will say door open, and it'll give you a warning as well. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is your seat position. So first of all, you need to adjust it like front to back. Now, some seats adjust up and down as well, but they all will slide forwards and backwards. So what you want to be doing is be able to push your left foot, which will be working the clutch, all the way to the floor, and you still want to have a slight bend in your leg. You don't want to be out dead straight, and you won't be able to reach. You don't want your leg out dead straight when the clutch is all the way at the floor, because you'll be stretching to get that there. And equally, you don't want it too close. So if I move myself really close, my leg has to come up too high to release the clutch fully, and that's not comfortable. So we're going to drop the chair back or forward, so you can still push the clutch all the way to the floor, but still have just a slight bend in your leg to keep comfortable. Equally, the back of the chair, up or down, you need to make sure you're comfortable. Again, if you're too far back, you'll be reaching for the steering wheel too much, and you won't be able to reach. And then too upright, and you'll feel again, you'll feel crushed, you'll feel uncomfortable. So just get yourself in a comfortable seating position. So you've done that, then the next thing you can do is the steering wheel. So in this car, steering wheel up and down, and it goes in and out. What you need to do is get the steering wheel in a position where it's close enough to you that you've still got a little bit of bend in your arms. You don't want it like this, again, because you'll be driving with stiff arms. It's going to be really difficult, really uncomfortable. If you've got it too close, if you're too close to it and you're like this, again, you're going to restrict how much you can steer. So get yourself in a nice position, nice and comfortable, and make sure you can see through this opening and see all the dials. So nice and comfortable, arms aren't too straight or too bent, elbows bent a little bit, arms bent a little bit, and nicely relaxed, sat back in the chair. The next thing you can do is your seat belt. Now, your seat belt, it's obvious, most people can put their own seat belt on. But for you as a driver, you need to remember that you've got some responsibilities now. The best way to think about it is that everybody in the car you're responsible for, and legally you're only responsible for children under the age of 14. So anyone over the age of 14 that's not wearing their seat belt could be dealt with independently by the police if they wanted to. You would probably still get a bit of a talking to, say, come on, look, let's make sure everyone stays safe. You're driving, you don't want that on your conscience. And that's the big thing. Why I'd always want to make sure everyone was wearing a seatbelt in my car is I don't want it on my conscience if something happens that they've then got hurt because I didn't check. Along with seatbelts as well becomes, for those children under the age of 14, very often comes a car seat. So make sure they've got the correct car seat that's fitted correctly to your car and that they are then correctly fitted to it. Don't just take mum or dad's word for it if it's not your child. Because they would go, oh no, it's fine, don't worry. But if an accident happened and something happened to their child, I would imagine that their attitude may change quite significantly, especially if it turns out you should have been making sure. So just to check and just to make sure that they're nice and safe, it only takes a couple of seconds. So you pop your seatbelt on, make sure everyone else has got theirs on, and make sure it clicks in. Obvious, I know. Easy for me to say. Obvious, I know, but just something to make sure. And then finally, it's your mirrors. So you've got to adjust your door mirrors and your interior mirror to make sure you've got as much vision behind you as you possibly can. So for me, I'd go with the rule of about 1/3 car and 1/3 sky. I'll show you a picture of what that looks like and how I have mine adjusted on your door mirrors. So 1/3 car, 1/3 sky. You don't need to know too much of what's going on up in the air because it's not relevant. You don't need to worry about the planes or anything. And equally, you don't want it down too low because you don't want to see just the floor. You need to see what's going on behind you. So a little bit of your car so you can see that the mirrors are pointing in, so to behind you. And then that'll give you as much vision as you can get out of those mirrors. And then finally, you've got your interior mirror. And again, just adjust that so you can see as much as you possibly can of the back window. So as much as you can see. So you might see a little bit of yourself in this corner here, but just make sure you can see fully behind you. And that is about it. That's the car set up and ready to go. You can reach all your pedals nicely, you can reach the steering wheel and you can see well, and you know everyone's safe. So that took us a few minutes to talk through. The reality is once you know all the things you've got to do, you'll jump in the car, especially at the beginning of a lesson, and it'll take you a few seconds. Your instructor might just be going through, oh, this is what we said we were going to do today. And then you're ready, they're ready, and then your lesson will start. And like I said, once you've got your own car, the things that I said that you probably have to, the things that I would say you may check every now and then would be your mirrors, just to make sure they're all right. And it's your interior mirror more than anything. But that's the cockpit drill of DSSSM. So you've got to remember doors, seat, steering wheel, seat belt, mirrors. Get that done. Car's already good to go for you. You don't want to be adjusting any of this while the car's moving. Do it all while you're stationary, and on you go. Last thing you want to be doing is adjusting your seat, and then as you go to stop, you're driving along, adjusting your seat, you have to stop, you hit the brake, and then your seat flies forward, and because it's just all going to freewheel. You don't want to do that. And that's it, just a really nice little short one just to get us started, get your car set up, and keep you nice and safe. But don't forget, like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.